look, I broke it again. Open banana. And now my Dr. Pen has a bunch of banana skin. I wanted to do a video reviewing the Dr. Pen. Now, if you guys know or didn't know, Dr. Pen is made by the same manufacturer that makes the Banisher. I met the manufacturer back in 2012 before I started my business. Microneedling was not a thing back then. His company was Garage Vibes. I will just say that, like kind of like how Apple started in a garage. It was very, very small. And then microneedling became very popular. And then professionals started using the Dr. Pen in their offices, and his business exploded across the world. So I love how microneedling is so much more popular now. I think by far for somebody like me who I have really bad acne scarring, I didn't have a lot of money, I'm not able to use traditional like products, and I also have a very faulty skin barrier. So I have now realized after my daughter going on Dupixent that my skin barrier is missing like an actual protein. It's a genetic defect where it doesn't barrier the way it's supposed to. So that's why a lot of the harsh actives and a lot of like the chemical peels or even retinols I'm not able to use because I have an ineffective skin barrier. So that was like kind of interesting to know. Okay, so I wanted to talk about the Dr. Pen product, you know, the main differences from the Dr. Pen and Banish, and when I would recommend using the Dr. Pen and versus Banish. Now, right now, it is best advised not to use Dr. Pen at home because a lot of people are not going to use it correctly. A lot of people are not going to read the directions, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like since you're watching me and if you've been following me, I feel like, you know, you would do enough due diligence to be able to do it safely at home. But there's a few reasons why I actually do not prefer the Dr. Pen. And I'm not saying this because Banish is my own brand. I'm actually saying this like, I always choose to use the Banisher, a stamping mechanism device, over a vibrating Dr. Pen mechanism. Okay, so I have a few Dr. Pens. I just put it in here. I put everything in the Banish bags. I don't really know the different models. I'm not going to get into the different models, but basically the Dr. Pen is like this thing that you plug in, right? You need electricity for it, and it vibrates, okay? And then you have these cartridges, and these Dr. Pen cartridges are single-use cartridges. So when you use them, you have to throw them out right after use. So the biggest difference from the bat is these needles on the Dr. Pen cartridges are made of titanium, and they are much thicker than the needles on Banish. I have that image with the banana where I compare the Dr. Pen like versus the Banisher. Okay, so you can see here the Dr. Pen, okay, and you can just see the needles are very, very, very thick. So I'm going to show you, use the Banisher. Okay. So the needles are very, very, very thick. Now, for people who have really good skin, this shouldn't be an issue. But remember me, I'm somebody who just doesn't have a skin barrier. I have a faulty skin barrier, and I also scar very, very easily. You guys, if you look closely, they're small, but I do have texture on the sides of my face, and every single pimple I've ever had in my entire life has left an indentation on my skin. That is how badly I scar. So I do not recommend, look how big these needles are. These kind of needles, if done improperly, is going to scar your skin if you have similar skin to mine. I have tried this, and what I did was I used it on my nasal labial folds because I'm approaching 40. So it's better time to work on these. And if you guys look closely, do you guys see these little holes? Okay, so these little holes right here, they are scarring from the Dr. Pen. So you can see I have my acne scars here. This is scarring. These are not pores. It's like scarring. So you have to be so, so careful. And this is what I say when people talk about microneedling and comparing devices. And I wanted to make this video comparing all the microneedling devices out there because it is not all the same. You guys need to understand it is not all the same. And as somebody whose skin scars over everything, I don't want you guys to make the same mistake, and I don't want you to look at pricing, okay? Because this is not something that you should save $10 for. And I'm not saying this also because Banish is my brand. I've done this for 12 years. Okay, this is all I know. I don't know even how to cook a frozen pizza, but I know about microneedling and all the devices and everything out there. So this kind of needle scars my skin. The needles are much thicker and they're much thicker. Okay, so this is even I believe this is the 1.0 from Banish. But if you even compare the needles here versus, I mean, look at that, okay? So the needles on this are much thicker than the ones on Banish. And if you're like me, you're going to get scars from using needles that are too thick. Another thing I wanted to talk about the Dr. Pen, I've had issues with inserting this. I don't know if it's like certain cartridges go with certain needles. For me, it's too confusing to figure out like what model goes with what cartridge. I think this is the right cartridge. Okay, so what happens is with the Dr. Pen, yes, you get adjustment for where you want to use it. That is a pro, right? That the Banisher does not have. But I will also say the vibrating mechanism, I really do not think is necessary. I don't know if there's been any research suggesting that a vibrating mechanism of needles while swirling around your face is going to be better for you than just a pure stamping motion. So I'm going to be right back. I'm going to go get a banana. I have some. Hold on a sec. I was like, where did all the fruit flies from my house come from? From these bananas. They're attracting fruit flies. So yeah, these are all I had. But I'm just going to show you the vibrating mechanism. Okay, so you have these thick needles and they're vibrating. And basically how estheticians do it is they swirl the needles on the face. See, I already broke the skin of my banana by swirling, okay? So look, I broke it again. Open banana. So, and now my Dr. Pen has a bunch of banana skin. So if you're like me and if you're someone with a faulty skin barrier, breaking that skin is not going to be okay. Now, I know what you're going to say, and you're going to say, Daisy, they use a serum. And yes, you can use a serum, and a lot of people will use, a lot of estheticians or whatever, they will use a hyaluronic acid serum as a slippage for the Dr. Pen mechanism, for the like vibrating rotation of the skin. But for me, it's like, what is the point of doing this when you can just stamp it into the skin, create microchannels without irritating the skin barrier or create further scarring? Like, to me, the vibration is something that is not necessary, but adds a wow factor in the marketing of the product, at least to me. So that is why I personally don't use the Dr. Pen, because I'm going to get further scarring. It's going to attack my skin barrier. Now, so where did my poor banana? Okay, so my poor banana, you can see the Dr. Pen open these, whereas the Banisher, it just stamps into the skin, and you're going to have to wait. But do you see those little holes? So it creates the microchannels. Yeah, you see those little holes on the skin, but it doesn't damage the skin barrier, whereas the Dr. Pen does. Okay, and again, I don't think it's necessary to use a hyaluronic acid serum to create slippage, because like, why bother? And there's been a lot of stories on Reddit about how people will go to a med spa or an esthetician or whomever, and the person just goes way too hard, way too ham, and they like really tear their skin. They swirl it too hard, and their skin barrier is way too like fragile. And because they put numbing cream on you when you're doing the Dr. Pen in office, they don't know if it hurts. They don't know if their skin is falling off, blah, blah, blah. And afterwards, they're left with really, really bad effects from using that, okay? Now, you guys, I feel like the biggest mistake people think in skincare and aesthetics, people think that the more intense you go, the more invasive you go, the better it is. And maybe for some people's skin, like that's what works. But you guys, for me, and if you have acne scarring, the fact that you have acne scarring signals that you know, number one, you have really bad 6 acne. But number two, like your skin is not going to recover well necessarily from like a lot of trauma in the face, right? Again, I had really bad acne, left with a lot of scarring, and a lot of devices and a lot of things on my skin just don't work. They create further scarring, as in the case of using the Dr. Pen on myself. So yeah, so you're using that and you're swirling it, and it can drag on the skin and create further really, really scary pictures that I've seen on Reddit. So that is the comparison of using the Dr. Pen versus Banish. Again, with my banana, let's see. My banana, you can see from the Banisher, you did create little micro channels, right, on here. The Dr. Pen, you swirled and you opened and popped your skin open. Okay, what else about the Dr. Pen? If you're going to use the Dr. Pen, I think I like that you can do this at home. If you do use like a hyaluronic acid serum and you don't do it on your face, okay? I've been trying to do it on my neck. I'm not really good with my skincare regimen right now, like running a business and having 2 young girls, taking care of a lot of stuff. Ironically, even though I have a skincare company, taking care of my skin is not on my list of priorities. But if I were to do this, I would do it on my neck, I would do it on my body, but I would avoid my skin, especially now that I'm older. My skin is just not as thick anymore. It's not as like, what do you call it? Robust. So I just don't want to do anything that I think is going to like risk doing anything crazy to the skin. The skin on my neck is way thicker. I don't know why. It's like way thicker. I just don't care if like I get scarring on my neck, like whatever, right? Neck, body, different areas. So yeah, that is basically my review of the Dr. Pen. Again, there's different models, but they basically do the same mechanism, which is the basic vibration of the product and then the swirling of the microneedling around the skin. But all microneedling needs to do is it just needs to prick that layer of your skin to induce collagen and elastin wound healing. Okay, so anything extra, vibrations, more abrasiveness, all that is not necessary. You just need to trick your skin to produce more collagen. That's it. You don't want to overdo it. So you try to think of it as like you want to do the least amount of work for the maximum result. So again, when you're choosing a device, look at the quality of the needles, make sure that you're constantly replacing them. And then also you want to look at the thickness of the needles in case you'll develop further scarring from it. Remember, every single pimple of mine left a scar. So no matter how small the pimple was, it still left a scar, which means my skin is very prone to scarring. And so I cannot use regular needles that most people can. And if you have acne scars, you're probably also very prone to scarring. Maybe it's not the best thing to use like a very, very thick needle. So those are my 2 cents. All right. Thank you. Bye.